Welcome to Fueling Your Legacy, hosted by Samuel Knickerbocker. Each week, we expose the faulty foundational mindsets of the past and rebuild a new, stronger foundation essential in creating your legacy. We've got a lot of work to do, so let's get started. Welcome back to Fuel Your Legacy. And this week, again, we're talking about positive psychology. We're talking about the method in which you can turn any circumstance into something that's working for you. Any event, any experience that you've had, turn it into something that's going to serve you and push you forward. So that's what we're going to get into. And today is the book review on Viktor Frankl's, I forgot the name of the book, Man's Search for Meaning. Man's Search for Meaning. I am super excited about this. I have so many things floating around in my head that I almost forgot. Well, I did forget the name of the book. So this week about positive psychology, we just kind of introduced it on Monday. Today we're going to dive a little bit deeper into what it means, how to apply it, and what his experience was, Viktor Frankl's experience. I'm not going to destroy the whole book for you because I really think that it's important for you to read and really get into what it means for you and what it can mean for you. So I don't want to take that away from you, but I also want to give you a few nuggets that really served me and helped me get enough out of it that I was interested in reading it the first time as well. With that being said, I'm going to go ahead and share a little bit about our event on May 11th. We're going to be doing a Next Generation Legacy and Wealth Workshop. And with that event, I'm offering 2 free tickets to whoever is the first one today to screenshot them listening to this episode, post on social media, and tag myself in it. And then in the comments, go ahead and write FYL Sam. Stands for Fuel Your Legacy Sam. That's what I know where you got this invitation from, and I can get you the information, reach out to you and help you get registered for that. So super excited for that and super excited for what that means for you who are attending. And it's going to literally blow your mind about how money works, why it's important to really stay focused on becoming financially confident and aware of what's going on when it comes to your money. And also when it comes to your legacy. So super excited about that. You can go to my website, samknickerbocker.com, and get registered there if you'd like to do it that way and do it yourself. Through that, there is I believe a 62% discount on that if you go through my website and go to the speaking section and then click on the second one. So there's 2 things that I'm speaking at. One is May 11th, and then the other is going to be on June 8th, 7th, and 8th, and that is the Level Up Mastermind with Tiffany Barnes. And so both of those are awesome, but definitely the Next Generation Legacy and Wealth Workshop is going to be phenomenal, and that's going to be up next. That's going to be on May 11th. So super excited about that. Okay, so let's dive in to this wonderful book, Man's Search for Meaning. So if you haven't heard of it, basically Viktor Frankl was a psychiatrist, kind of doctor person who was a Jew and got stuck in a concentration camp, ultimately made it to Auschwitz, I forget how to say it, but Auschwitz, something like that. And he was there until the war ended. And it kind of goes through the story of how he knew somebody. And one of the ways that they could tell when somebody was going to give up their life and to die and just give in was if they started smoking their cigarettes. So this is an interesting thing because some of the episodes we've had where we talked about money and value and how not all money, like currency is not always dollar bills or money. Sometimes it's other things. Well, in their economy, in the prison or the concentration camp, they were the main form of currency was cigarettes. And so if you were given cigarettes for whatever reason, then you would trade them for bowls of soup, or you would trade them for other forms of food that would actually sustain life better. And in the book, he mentions that you knew somebody was done with their life. They were giving up. They had just given in when they started to smoke their own cigarettes. So just think about that. Like, what is it in your life that if you were to look around, when your family, your friends, the people around you, they've given up on their goals by their behaviors. What are those behaviors? What are your behaviors? That's the bigger thing, is identifying, hey, what are my tells? What are the things that I start doing when I start giving up on life? And then how can we avoid or create an environment or a structure around ourselves that helps us to overcome those simple things and make sure that we're structuring our lives in a way that we're never falling into this habit of giving up on our goals, giving up on our dreams, giving up on the people that we love or that we care about. So that was huge from a perspective there. But he tells his whole story about in this concentration camp, talking to different people, planning his escape, not doing it, planning his escape, not doing it, right? And this cycle of what a prisoner goes through. One of the interesting things about this was when they first got into the camp, then they were stripped naked of all their things, all their possessions, shaved heads. Basically, they were all equal and they were assigned a number. Now, when you've lost everything in your life, all meaning, everything that you potentially might assign meaning to, it was interesting to hear how he created and manufactured, if you will, a meaning out of his life and how he chose to still live a meaningful life, even though he didn't have any material things. He didn't have anything. In fact, even the negative experiences, he had to learn how to reframe them into a way that was going to bless other people's lives and help them believe in themselves more. And so this is his whole journey. And he, at many times, was almost dead, saved from death, switched crews so that the people who were in charge of him as a prisoner, where they were working prisoner, wouldn't kill him. So just a lot of tragic things happened in this man's life. But ultimately, he survived the concentration camp. He got out and he decided to write a book about it. And he was originally going to write this book anonymously, but felt that to give it the credibility that it deserved, he needed to put his name on it. So that's why his name's on it. And what it changed was helping people learn how to choose the meaning out of life that they want rather than being subject to the meaning that somebody assigns them. I'm sure you've experienced where you have an event happen in your life, and out of that event, you choose a negative experience to believe, a negative mindset to believe about that. And then you wind up, you don't think it's negative initially. You think you're just initially recognizing the facts, in quotes, right? The facts. But then over time, these things become more and more and more negative as time goes on, to the point where now you're telling this elaborate story to yourself of how bad this previous experience or event was. And all that does is create and compound the heartache in your life. For me, I had experiences like that from my childhood, where I really did think that the world was crashing down, that people didn't love me. I was taking these events way out of context I was taking them from my perspective, my experience, but when I didn't really consider that other people may have had different experiences and would have looked at the same situation a little bit differently. And so that's an interesting thing to do and really focus on, is how am I choosing the experience? How am I assigning meaning to this experience? And what am I going to do moving forward? I was having a conversation I have multiple conversations with multiple clients at this point about the idea of shifting the meaning of something. I'm going to share a silly story that happened this morning with my wife and I, to kind of illustrate what meaning are we going to assign the events in our lives. And really the idea is man's search for meaning. We get to choose what the meaning is. It's just how do we decide what we're going to choose? Okay. So this morning I got up, went to the gym. My workout partner wasn't able to make it. So he texted me and said, "Oh, I'm not going to make it." I was tempted to go back to bed, but I didn't. I went to the gym, got back, and parked the car out front and said, "Hey," and I got in, said, "Okay, Charlie, it's time for you to go golfing," right? She's she's becoming a pro golfer. And as a result, she needs to practice. So I went in, I said, "Hey, you should go golf. It's a beautiful day outside. It's a great day to go golfing." She's tired, didn't want to get up. Ultimately, we fell asleep. At 2.5 later, we wake up at 8:30. And it's time to get ready for the day, time to get the kids out of bed. And so we're in the shower. And I was like, yeah, today would have been a great day to go golfing. I'm home a little bit later. I'm not going to go into work as early. And it's just a beautiful day. And she's like, "What?" Now I'm annoyed. I wish that I would have known that you were going to be here a little bit later, because then I would have gotten up. Some of those times that I dozed off, when I would have gotten up, instead of thinking, "Oh, it's too late," I would have gotten up and went golfing. And I just responded, that's great feedback. That's something for me to learn. I can learn to communicate more clearly. But then I asked her, well, how does it make you feel to be annoyed? She said, well, it makes me feel annoyed. Well, how does being annoyed make you feel? And she's like, why are you asking me these questions, Sam? Well, here's why. We all have tendencies. And sometimes an initial thing will annoy us in the morning. We'll feel like we missed out on something. This is the experience or the event that we have. And then when we start getting stressed by other things, then that stress starts to build up. And then eventually we lash out on something that we didn't even know we normally wouldn't have made us upset. But because we have already something in our life that we're kind of annoyed with, then we're on edge for everything else. And so unless we're willing to identify and really reframe that experience to something that doesn't annoy us, then that's great. Well, as we progress through the conversation, she says, well, Sam, if I'm not annoyed, if I'm not upset that I missed it, then what is there going to be that's going to change me or make me get out of bed next time? I need to be upset so that I can do better next time. And my advice is, no, you don't. In this book, Man's Search for Meaning, it is very clear that every experience, we get to choose the meaning that we take from each experience or each event. We get to choose the outcome. Rather than having that stuff dictated to us, we get to choose those things. And from his perspective in Army camp, the people who had given up meaning, who didn't feel like they had anything to live for anymore, they died super quick and they gave up on life. But if they were able to find even just one little meaning or one little purpose to live for, one gift that they had to share with others, then they ended up surviving this camp. And he wasn't the only one who survived these concentration camps, but it was really the people who had meaning in their lives who were able to survive it. So we're sitting there talking. She says, well, why? I need this to assign meaning to it. I said, no, I'm not saying remove the meaning from the experience. Yes, you do need meaning, but what meaning are you going to assign it? Are you going to assign it a meaning that's negative, that holds you back, that makes you feel crappy about yourself, that ultimately will lead to you doing something else that makes you feel crappy about yourself? If that's the meaning that you're assigning these experiences, then you're ultimately going to be rather unhappy. However, if you choose to assign a meaning that's positive, right? So what are some meanings that came out of this experience that we could choose to learn from? For me, I could communicate better. I obviously didn't communicate clearly that I was going to be home a little bit later in the morning and that she could have had time to go golfing. So that was something that I learned. I could communicate better. For her, she could learn that she could ask more questions, right? So that was one meaning. Hey, when I'm confused about something, let's ask more questions. Also, assign the meaning of, hey, I know we didn't get to go golfing, but we got to cuddle. We got to spend more time together in the morning and rest a little bit more. That's a fantastic thing. Rather than discounting that with annoyance, just be grateful for what we got. And that's one thing. And another thing that we could be grateful for is grateful that this happened in the beginning of her golfing career and becoming a pro golfer, that she's learning right now to be more consistent and knows how it feels when she's not consistent. And so she's learning to be more consistent with her golfing goals. So that's a great thing. We're learning this now rather than 5 or 6 months in, still struggling with being consistent. Isn't it so much better that we're learning this on the first or second week after deciding that we're going to be a pro golfing team? Okay. So these are things where you get to choose the meaning. The event is the exact same. What you choose to take out of the event, out of the experience, is what's going to change. And that is what Man's Search for Meaning is all about. The whole book is orchestrated and helping people really understand what meaning are you choosing from this experience. How are you going to apply that meaning? How are you going to use that meaning to grow? The one overarching thing that he mentions and that I've mentioned multiple times in various areas is the meaning that ultimately wins. The most powerful meaning that you can assign something is one of love, compassion, and understanding. And so when you're looking at these things, you can easily discern what type of meaning you're giving it. Is that meaning making you feel not so good, or is it making you feel good? And if it's making you feel good, then that's awesome. It's actually leading you down a path of love and abundance. If the meaning that you're feeling is annoyance or sadness that you're missing out on something, maybe anger, fear, whatever those meanings are, if those are the meanings that you're assigning an experience in your life, then ultimately it's going to lead to unhappiness. And so a very good discerning mark, I love this in a lot of the scriptures, whether it be the Bible or the Book of Mormon or whatever scriptures you listen to, maybe the Torah or all these different books, they focus on a specific topic at one point or another in those books. And That is when we're assigning meaning to things. We're choosing to be happy. We're choosing to have light, okay? And so that they'll say, hey, everything that's good is of God. Everything that's not good is of the devil, okay? And you can say God or devil, positive, negative, what light, darkness. You can say whatever you want for those two words, but ultimately it really is an easily discernible thing. It's not this big confusion about how do I discern between this or that, right? The discernment is an easy process. The discernment really is it leading me towards feeling good inside or not? And if it's not, if the meaning that you're assigning something is not giving you a positive, happy feeling, I would suggest don't assign it that meaning. Change the meaning. It can still be progress. It can still be I need to improve. It can still be all of those things, and be a positive way of saying it. And I was talking to another client today, and we were talking about statistics, and all the people who talk about statistics. Let's just say, okay, 70% of marriage, 70% of the problems in a marriage can't be worked out. Let's just say that. Who knows? Or let's say they can be worked out, but 30% of the problems they can't be. Okay, so 70% of problems in a marriage going to be worked out easily. 30%, they're just going to be differences, and it's okay. Okay, well, people will focus on the 30% of problems. You'll see these marriage therapists, they'll get up and they'll say, look, 30% of the problems in a marriage, there's no resolution. You just kind of have to deal with it, right? Rather than saying 70% of all the problems in a marriage are going to be taken care of super easy, and it's going to be taken care of. Nobody's going to be the wiser after, and it's just going to go flow nicely. Well, the difference is, what are you programming your mind to think about? Are you programming, hey, is this one of those problems that's going to fit into the 30% that can't be fixed? Or are all you're focusing on, hey, I bet this problem that we're experiencing is in that 70%. Let's find a way to figure it out, right? What's the meaning behind the facts? And when you learn how to identify and assign a more positive meaning behind facts, then you're going to have a much happier existence. And that's what this Man's Search for Meaning book is all about, is how to assign a meaning that serves you rather than not serves you. I strongly encourage you to go pick up this book, read it. I would say study it multiple times. It's a fantastic book. I like the audio version because the guy reads it in a British accent, which I like. But you can read it yourself as well. It's just as good. Having a paperback actually allows you to take notes, which is super helpful. But take one thing at a time and apply it. Start challenging all of your thought processes and start thinking, what meaning am I assigning this experience? What meaning am I assigning this event? And I'm confident that as you focus on just even being cognizant of what meaning you're applying to a certain experience, you're going to choose happier meanings. And by so doing, you will ultimately become happier. So that's all for today. We're super excited for this book for you guys to get access to that. And then as well, remember, the first person to take a screenshot of this, post it on social media, gets a free ticket to the Next Generation, gets 2 free tickets to the Next Generation Legacy and Wealth Workshop. If you have any questions, just let me know. Reach out to me on social media, whether it's Facebook, Instagram, or if you want to go to my website, samknickerbocker.com, you can get me there as well. Super excited to see you there at that event, and we look forward to experiencing, because experiences are what's important, experiencing a change in our lives from our financial future. So have a wonderful day, and we'll catch you next time on Fuel Your Legacy. Thanks for joining us today. If what you heard resonated with you, please like, comment, and share on social media. Tag me so I can give you a shout out on the next episode. And thanks to all those who have left a review. It helps spread the message of what it really takes to build a legacy that lasts. Catch you next time on Fueling Your Legacy.